A lot of disasters happen in California, and often the animals are as or more impacted as the humans are.
Wildfires, floods, earthquakes, and landslides. These disasters not only affect humans, but also animals, who often have no way to escape or get help.
Those animals wouldn't be taken care of if it wasn't for the efforts of these volunteers.
It's really exciting to see an organization that is putting a lot of effort and energy into building up animal response capabilities in the state.
They are the experts when it comes to sheltering, evacuation, technical rescue across the state. So I am in awe of everything that they do.
In times of extreme stress, trauma, tragedy, the volunteers with NVADG have been one of the brightest spots in a very, very, very hard time.
Oh, get comfortable, think. Good boy. Good boy, yes. Friend of Finn. Finn brought us good luck, so we found you. Good boy.
As a young firefighter for the city of Chico, John Moretti often responded to wildfires in the foothills and saw a need for animal evacuation and rescue behind the fire lines.
And we would find areas where people would have animals, but not necessarily have the resources to evacuate those animals. They'd either have not have a good running truck or not a trailer or something. So occasionally we'd find somebody actually walking down the middle of the street with a horse in each hand trying to evacuate during disaster.
John made a presentation to the Butte County Fire Chiefs Association. He proposed the creation of a team of trained volunteers who could work with the fire department and other agencies to safely and efficiently transport animals out of harm's way. The chiefs had concerns about the safety and liability of civilians entering dangerous zones and resisted the idea at first.
They didn't really want untrained civilians behind the fire lines, which made sense at the time. So unfortunately, in the next 2 years after that, we had some horrific fires in Butte County, and we actually lost 2 people that would not leave because they wouldn't leave their animals behind.
In 1999 and 2000, there were wildfires where some people who refused to leave their animals behind succumbed to the fire. A woman was lost because she would not leave her 5 dogs behind. Also, a firefighter was severely burned as he was trying to help a woman evacuate.
I know many people that consider their animals their children and will sacrifice everything, including their lives, for them.
Yeah, people will stay behind with their pets rather than evacuate and leave them behind and not know what happens to them.
The Butte Fire Chiefs Association then agreed to meet with John again and give his idea a chance, but within very strict parameters. Volunteers would be required to undergo rigorous training and certification to meet the fire department standards. They would also have full personal protective equipment, known as PPEs, such as fire retardant clothing, helmets, gloves, and fire shelters.
That's the yellow Nomex or fire retardant clothing, the fire shelter, the helmets, the gloves, all the equipment.
Those volunteers would also carry fire department radios that allow them to communicate with the incident command.
And they're very critical. They wanted to make sure we had communications the entire time with them, so if the weather changed or something happened, they could tell us to evacuate as well.
The Butte County Sheriff's Office required that volunteers who qualified to go behind fire lines and into evacuated areas would have background checks. And the Office of Emergency Services required that animal rescue volunteers be trained in the incident command system and to be sworn in as disaster service workers to the State Office of Emergency Services.
For example, during Katrina, there were people that were going and evacuating different neighborhoods and stuff when other groups had already gone there. The incident command system was not in place during Katrina, and it led to a lack of efficiency and losing animals, frankly.
A lot of what animal rescue was pre-Katrina was just a group of people that would just show up at a disaster and try to save animals. And found out real quick that that didn't work. You know, it puts people in harm's way. Animals end up lost, not being able to be reconnected with their owners.
It is essential to work with the incident command system so that we're all working towards the same goal, so we all know who's in charge, who to ask for information, and what the plan is.
I was very impressed with how NVADG understood that there was a system in place, and I believe a lot of it has to do with John's experience of working in the fire departments and understanding that, you know, there's no reason to reinvent that wheel.
So all people that are responding work within the incident command structure. It made terminology the same, it made resources the same. They have resource typing, where an animal control officer in Florida has the same exact title and responsibility as in California, which is great so that we can work together with mutual aid.
Due to the high rate of rabies in the county, the Butte County Public Health and Animal Control Center required animal rescue volunteers to be vaccinated for rabies. With the approval of these agencies, the North Valley Animal Disaster Group officially began. A memorandum of understanding was signed with Butte County affirming that whenever it is overwhelmed or needs help with animal control, North Valley Animal Disaster Group will assist.
Our mission is to provide education to the community and provide assistance to local agencies to provide evacuation and sheltering during disasters. We work hand in hand with their animal control officers and respond to homes behind fire lines to remove animals and bring them to safety.
NVADG, North Valley Animal Disaster Group, is highly trained and works very closely with Butte County Animal Control.
One of the most important things that NVADG does for their community is really solidify that relationship between humans and animals. And that has really elevated the issue. And so that now law enforcement, fire officials, legislators, everybody understands that we have to include animals in our emergency plans because it affects humans. And that is really a powerful message to have and really saves lives.
Seeing the value and successes of NVADG, fire agencies now often requested that the North Valley Animal Disaster Group be dispatched at the beginning of incidents where animals were involved.
What will happen is fire department will get on scene, and right away they will recognize that there is an animal issue. They will actually, on their first status report, request the North Valley Animal Disaster Group.
For the first decade, there was no permanent warehouse, headquarters, or shelter. Volunteers stored trailers and equipment at their homes. Businesses donated meeting space, and shelters were set up on the fly. The all-volunteer group would divide up the work of training, equipment care, and administrative duties. Thanks to this core group of dedicated volunteers, the organization survived and thrived. Butte County has had significantly more incidents than most other areas. From the potential Oroville Dam spillway collapse, which prompted the evacuation of the southern third of the county, to catastrophic fires such as the Camp Fire, where NVADG spent 78 days caring for over 10,000 animals. North Valley Animal Disaster Group has become an integral component of Northern California's disaster response.
The North Valley Animal Disaster Group, NVADG, goes to all sorts of disasters, not just fires, but floods. Obviously, in 2017, when the dam broke, we responded to that. We sheltered thousands of animals during that. We also work mutual aid. We've worked with the International Fund for Animal Welfare, some of our members. We've gone to, Nepal earthquake, Mount Agung volcano.
I traveled all over the world and also within the states, and I've never met a disaster response group that goes to such lengths to train their people, to support their people. It's really just so wonderful to see that support and what they do for the community. It's just amazing.
In 2015, there was a terrible fire in Lake County, which sits north of Napa County. And when I went there to provide veterinary care for animals affected, I saw the North Valley Animal Disaster Group in action. And I thought that they were so well organized, well trained, and amazing to work with that I thought, oh, we have to replicate that in Napa County.
I first became aware of NVADG during 2015, which was the year of many fires in Lake, Napa, Mendocino County, but most notably the year of the Valley Fire, which took out a large chunk of the town of Middletown in Lake County. And I was brought into that incident by the UC Davis Veterinary Emergency Response Team and asked to help up there. And while there, I met some people who were animal disaster responders, which I only later found out were with North Valley Animal Disaster Group. So I was really impressed with the work that they were doing.
We only work with requests for services. We don't go rogue and just running into a neighborhood and kidnapping animals. We only will go into an area if we are requested. We will send somebody to the incident command post and meet with the fire and law enforcement. Definitely check in with the safety officers to see if it is safe to go in there. We'll get the frequencies for our radio so we can go in there and contact division group supervisors, and we'll work within the system to provide the needs of the request. We offer trainings year-round, at least once a month. There's specific trainings for the evacuation team because they're going behind the fire lines and it's much more critical. They have to train on radios a lot because it's very critical communication.
Requesting permission to perform animal evacuation on Wall Run.
First aid safety, not just for animals, but for humans as well. We teach them extrication techniques on how to get into a building. We teach them fire line safety, which is critical because they're going beyond the fire line.
North Valley Animal Disaster Group training includes flood and swiftwater rescue and tactical rescue.
We also work tactical rescue, that being a turned over trailer or a horse over the edge while trailer riding or something. So we work with Butte County Search and Rescue, who also has the tools and resources required to do training of that sort. We've turned into a regional training center. Last February, International Fund for Animal Welfare sponsored training here. We had people from 23 different countries to come to do training. So we've done a lot of training for a lot of people all around the world.
When you're working with large livestock, it's a very unique skill set that you have to have practiced, especially when you're working in a crisis situation. You can actually end up causing more harm to yourself and to the animal if you don't have experience working with them.
Always the listen.
Today, we are here with NVADG doing lift techniques. So we have an Anderson sling, we have a large animal lift, we have the loops system, and then John Moratti has done this wonderful fire hose lift that I have yet to see. But all of these techniques are designed to lift horses in different ways using the skeletal system. The Anderson sling is designed to do helicopter lifts as well.
When a horse is in trouble, goes off the trail, trailer tips over, gets stuck in the mud, everybody wants to help. Who wants to see a horse in trouble? So you need training, and you need to activate your team and use what's called the incident command system, besides having the right equipment. So people jumping in to help the horse, they can hurt themselves, complicate the rescue by themselves getting hurt. So having the proper training and education about it, and then practice today. We're actually lifting mannequins, so we don't have to practice with live horses, but the direct application to the horse in the safe setting can be done from the training today.
What NVADG has done is brought together some of the seminal experts, pilots, veterinarians, animal care sort of people, all to come together to work out best practices and to especially train people that would be responding to the relatively low frequency but high risk exercise of lifting a large animal by a helicopter.
The beauty of the equine training mannequins is that they are fully articulated. They've got lots of moving parts and pieces, so we can put them in positions that simulate very, very closely the predicaments that a living horse would get itself into. And if you're a horse owner, you know that is pretty much just about anything. So we use these mannequins to train and learn and practice the technical rescue techniques that enable response teams like our NVADG Animal Technical Rescue Team to work with other resources such as the fire service, and CAL FIRE is here with us today, as well as search and rescue. And we're here today training at Butte County Search and Rescue. So we have what really would be kind of a dream team of animal responders. We've got our NVADG Animal Technical Rescue Team. We have Butte County Search and Rescue. We have some CAL FIRE firefighters, and almost more importantly than all of the above, we have veterinarians, which are really key to a successful response.
I just feel so much more confident going out into the field now and doing responses because of the time that I have spent with this crew.
You know, I've been exposed to different situations, whether it's evac or, you know, at this point, llamas, horses, dogs, cats, cattle herding, you know, anything, evac, you know, just the basic training, throwing a fire shelter. Tomorrow we're doing swift water.
The llamas were great. I also really loved walking those little donkeys around. But the llamas were kind of the highlight. You know, getting a llama kiss today was probably the highlight of the week so far.
Something else that we unfortunately do have to train on is critical incident stress management. A lot of our volunteers and everybody joins the group so they can pet puppies. And unfortunately, you know, there are times where you will have a puppy die in your arms, and it's very, very difficult.
It was hard, and just, you know, seeing people and just their stories of how they lost everything they owned, and all they care about is their pet. You know, so yeah, it was hard.
That morning on November 8th, 2018 was one that will go down in history, unfortunately.
When I got the code red warning that we have a fire going on, I was already prepared because in North Valley Animal Disaster Group, we're all about preparedness.
The hotline started ringing at 8 a.m. for people calling about needing help to evacuate their animals. And my partner came to wake me up to tell me Paradise is on fire. And so for the next 4 hours, I took a constant stream of panic calls from people who were at work, not able to get home to get their animals, from people who were here in Paradise saying they had horses that were loose and could somebody come help.
People call in to our hotline and request that we get their horses, their cats, their dogs, whatever, any kind of animal, lizards, fish, you name it, we get them all.
15,000 homes were destroyed and tens of thousands of people were displaced and their animals. So a conservative estimate would be anywhere between 15 and 20,000 animals plus had also been displaced.
In addition to the evacuation and rescue of animals, sheltering is critical to maintain the safety and well-being of the rescued animals.
We housed at our shelters over 4,000 animals and 30 different species of animals within our care.
NVADG volunteers are trained not only to use the assigned shelters that we already have, but to set up a shelter from scratch. Like during the 2017 dam break, we could not use our shelter because they were in the floodplain. So we had to go to Silver Dollar Fairgrounds to set up something from scratch.
people would just come by and say things like, you know, I lost my house, and you say, that's terrible. Yeah, I lost everything, but life is good because you guys are taking care of my animals.
We have a large animal shelter at Camelot Equestrian Center, which is owned by the Mechoopda tribe, which is fabulous. We have an excellent relationship with them, and they allow us to shelter animals there. We also have the old Oroville Hospital, human hospital. We actually are using that now, which works out great. We can fit 300 small animals there.
People could come in, we had a binder full of all the cats that came from the fire, so people could just look through that binder and say, oh, that kind of looks like my cat, can I go look at it?
I was in one of the shelters checking this one cat, and this man came through with his son, and I think the son might have been like 9, and an animal control officer from another county who was there helping had taken them to the 2 other shelters looking for a solid black cat. And I don't know how many solid black cats there were in those 1,000 animals, but I imagine there were quite a few. So they'd already been to the 2 other shelters and had not found the cat. All of a sudden, I hear the man say, "That's my cat! That's my cat!" And he said, and this is the part that gets me, he started to get emotional. And he said, "I never even knew I liked our cat until he was gone, and now my family's back together." And he started crying. And the animal control officer, I think she was from San Francisco, just grabbed him and hugged him, and he cried like right there. And his son was looking, I don't know if the son had ever seen his dad cry, but his son looked astounded, like seeing his father bawling. And that whole line, "Now my family is back together," I'll never forget it. And that's why NVADG and the work that IFAW promotes is so important. Pets are part of the family, they're part of our communities, and you can't have proper healing and moving forward unless you treat the animal issue too.
Community outreach, I think, is essential. It's like fire prevention and crime prevention. It helps people before an incident.
Community outreach programs, encouraging the public to have a plan.
So I really feel that she and her team have saved more lives than our evacuation team combined.
North Valley Animal Disaster Group is a nonprofit organization that has occasionally been lucky enough to get some government grants, but it is primarily funded by individuals.
I can speak highly of leadership of NVADG, but also just of their volunteers. They've always just been so giving and so just selfless in how they respond to things. They seem to really like to just sign up for whatever opportunities there are to help in any sort of disaster or emergency, and they're always reliable and always show up.
There's a role for everybody. I'm here to prove it, no matter how tech savvy or not, no matter how comfortable you are with horses or pigs or cats or dogs or birds. There is a role for you. You don't even have to touch an animal. You don't have to touch a computer. There's a role for everyone, and we really, really need more community members to step up and join us and keep the work going.
It probably says something that I'm willing to drive so far from where I live to volunteer with this group. And it's because I learn so much from them, because they just have so many people with a lot of great experience, and because they need the help. A lot of disasters do happen in Butte County, and they need to have a big pool of volunteers to draw on.
And so I love to be able to deploy when I have those opportunities, because we're meeting something in a desperate need, whether it is how to get out to safety, or I'm not sure what to do with my animal until I find a place for me, you know. It's amazing to be able to help people with their pets, because I know how important my animals are to me.
North Valley Animal Disaster Group has been involved in many disaster responses over the years, saving thousands of animals and providing comfort and relief to their owners. They have also helped to educate the public about disaster preparedness and animal welfare. North Valley Animal Disaster Group is a nonprofit organization that relies on donations and grants to fund its operations. They are always looking for more volunteers and supporters who share their passion for animals.
I really want to thank NVADG for getting us all into this position where we're doing it the right way.
If you'd like to learn more about North Valley Animal Disaster Group, or if you'd like to get involved, visit the website at www.nvadg.org or follow them on social media. You can also donate to their cause or sponsor an animal in need. North Valley Animal Disaster Group is a shining example of how ordinary people can make a difference in extraordinary situations. They are heroes to many animals and humans alike.